Hey guys, welcome back to another interview here on Toned In Entertainment. Welcome back to the podcast. Everybody has a story, and today joining me to tell his story is Raheem Jonez. How you doing, Raheem?
Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to be here. We're going to do this again. We're going to go all the way straight. I love professional wrestling. I love you, and thank you for having me again.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about DCCW and you being an interviewer and a commentator. Give us a little bit of the backstory about that.
Well, I started in DCCW, Destiny Combat Championship Wrestling, about 3 years ago. They brought me in as a commentator and a host. We wanted to start a brand new TV show, which was the idea. And so far, we've been putting out YouTube content, Instagram content, Threads content, and everywhere that you can find us. So we have some of the best professional wrestlers, in my opinion. And I love talking to them, and they love talking with me.
Now, I do know that, in fact, that you started your career in 2009 and we're here in 2023. So 14 years you've been in the professional wrestling business. Just tell us a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned in this journey.
Well, definitely everything that I know is built off of respect and dignity in this professional wrestling business. A lot of these people are like, they're human beings as well, but they're really superstars, and you really have to address them and treat them as such. So when, just being there and understanding their backstories and where they're coming from and being able to meet them halfway, just everything's just built off of respect in this professional wrestling game. And so, that's my biggest lesson that I've learned.
I know from watching your videos on Instagram, because you have several up there with yourself interviewing the wrestlers of today and the future. Tell us a little bit about, every interviewer has a different way of approaching things. Some people write all the questions down on their phone. Some people have notes. Tell us a little bit about your process going into interviews.
One thing I try to do my best at is to try to get familiar with the talent beforehand. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people might need just to take a little note of. Just know who you're working with, understand where they're coming from, understand how to be able to relate to them. Because we are the liaisons, between the wrestlers and the fans at home. So when we're able to meet them halfway, they can carry the ball on themselves. Like I said, they're professionals. And I need to be a professional as well at all times. So when I go into an interview, I know who I'm dealing with. I know how to talk to them, and hopefully they're in a good mood that day.
That's right. Have you ever dealt with any wrestlers maybe that weren't in such a good mood?
Oh my gosh.
I guess that can be said about anybody, not just wrestlers, right?
La Brava, Controversial Inc.
Oh, those guys.
Mr. C.
Yeah.
These guys are dangerous. And I always tell them, don't put your hands on the commentator. You know what I mean? I'm just a commentator. I'm just an interviewer. And they're just like, man, screw you. So if they're in a bad day, then I'm in a bad day too. But I just try my best to get the best. The questions that the people at home want to know, the fans want to know. We read their comments, we read their questions, and I'm trying to be the liaison to be able to do that.
What I love about Controversial Inc., I've had the privilege of having them on my channel once, and LeBron as well too. And they literally tell you what you see is what you get with them.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Like I said, the three of them, they travel in groups, they travel in packs. They are dangerous. They're very good wrestlers. They got bad attitudes, and you know what I mean? They're just the shit. Excuse my language, but it is what it is. Like these guys are the real deal. And, every time they cross my path or, you never know what you're going to get with them. Also, El Nino. I'm not sure if you've got a chance to speak with El Nino yet.
No.
We need to hook that up. El Nino is a part of DWI, Dylan Willer Incorporated. They're about four to five people deep right now, and everywhere they go, they just destroy people. They just kick ass and they take names.
Now, I know DCCW is doing a lot of stuff, or most of their stuff, I believe, out of the Jacksonville area, out of the North Florida area, and I'm down here in Miami, so it's about a 5.5 hour drive for me to come up there. So, can you give me a pitch as to not only one, why it's worth my 5.5 hours to come up and check out DCCW, but also when the next show is?
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Raheem Jonez, and thank you for joining us tonight on DCCW Glorified, where we present all the best professional wrestling action in your area. Check us out on DCCW on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. All of the professional wrestling action that you need will be right there. We have Chance Oren. We have Jake Logan, the man, representing CYN, Control Your Narrative. These are the people that we're dealing with, folks. If you want to see all the hard-hitting, fast-paced action, come join us. We got you covered.
Now, when is the next show? Do you have a date for the next DCCW show?
December 6th.
Okay, so a little bit away still a little bit away.
That's when we're going to come back around. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
But we do have weekly shows in between time to carry, all the fans through, and that way they can see what we've been doing and to catch up on all the matches, that we've been putting out. So.
Now, your journey began in 2009 doing this professionally. Yeah. So give us a little bit about the feelings, about the thoughts, about, your very first time doing this as a professional. What went through your mind and what were the emotions that were running through your veins at that time?
Well, I remember my first event that I got invited to. I had to earn my way in, but I just remember walking down the hallways in the venue by myself. And I just was staring down the halls and running my hands, across the walls and everything. And I just kept saying, I can't believe this is really happening. Literally all of my lifelong dreams were coming true at one time. And I had no idea. I had no idea what this would lead to down the road. I had no idea how long I'd be, fortunate enough to be in the business. And it was just, I hate to use that word, but surreal. When you realize that you're around professionals and that you're doing what you've always wanted, what you've been born to do. Like, everybody that's been in the professional wrestling business has been born to do this. And so once we walk into that and once we realize, those things about us, it makes everything better. It makes everything concrete. And I was just like, shit, like, I got to do the best I can. And I don't want to embarrass myself and I don't want to embarrass these professionals.
I love the fact that you say that you were born to do this, because I feel like we all have some type of calling, right? And I feel like for myself, it's been running. It was something I hesitated for a very long time about pursuing. And when I finally did, well, I can't stop. Like, I'm hooked on it, right? Like it's like a drug to us, I think, as far as like wanting to be out there and keep creating the content. So, is there any stopping Raheem Jonez on this journey right now?
The sky's the limit, man. We started this show Glorified about 2 years ago. I've always been around, but when we said that we really wanted to take the next step and really try to cement and concrete this thing for us, because like I said, we've been putting on live shows. We travel. We're a traveling company as well. But we really wanted to put out something concrete for the people to follow us. And I said, we have to have the best damn show that we can. And so far, I mean, you've seen it, dog.
I haven't been there live, but I have been watching it on the socials, on the YouTube, on everything else, and you guys are really kicking butt. I know Cha-Cha
Thank you.
Charlie, who's a
Yeah.
staple down here in Miami, was the champion at one point. Oh, who doesn't
Yeah.
love Cha-Cha,
Oh, yeah.
right? You know?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, because I know when I started doing this a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic set in and everything slowed down, like when I went in to go do interviews, I mean, you're dealing with some larger than life people. You're dealing with people that you're really looking up to, or, you know, you're really excited to see. And for me, it took a lot to shake my nerves at the beginning. Was there anything that you had to do to shake those nerves off, or was it just kind of like smooth for you going in there and doing your interviews and doing your commentary?
Nobody wanted me around at the time. Okay. Because, like I said, like pro wrestling is very close knit, or especially when I got in. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Especially when I got in, it was very, very tight. Not everybody could just show up. Not everybody could just say, "Hey, I'm a wrestling fan and let me in." You know, I want to do this too. It didn't operate that way. There was no real wrestling schools, you know. So when you knew somebody, it's because they wanted to know you, and because they feel like they have something that you could bring. They have to bring you in. You don't just walk yourself in at the time. And so that was one thing I had to understand and take part of. I had to take my lumps. You know, I'm not perfect. I messed up sometimes, but they said that I had something going on, and they really wanted to work with me. And so every chance I get, to work with the best in the business, I work with the best in the business.
I feel it's really tough for anybody that's thinking about starting off to try to do podcasting or wrestling
Sure.
interviews or getting in. You've been doing it. I've been doing it. It is not an easy way to get your name into some of these places. Sometimes, like you said, Cha-Cha Charlie, for one, is somebody who reopened a door for me to come in and do stuff just because of a previous relationship that I had.
Sure.
And just making like little connections along the way. I don't think people realize like how much work and effort goes into maybe producing what you do and what I do.
One thing that I want to be, let me say this right. I feel like some people think that what we do is something differently than what we actually do. And I'm trying to say it without saying it, right? So when we have fans that watch our shows and watch the program, I feel like these days they think that they know what we're doing. But in actuality, it's completely different. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, everything is 100% legit, 100% upfront and honest. Some people think that they know what pro wrestling is, but they don't until they're in the business. We're in the business.
Definitely. It's an eye-opening experience being in the back before the shows, and it's a whole nother world back there.
It's different.
Sure. It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I know you like to ask the hard-hitting questions, the questions that the people want to know. So do you take fan? Do you? Well, I'm not going to hit you with the hard hitting questions. That's not my style.
I'm used to being on the other side, man.
Right. I'm not going to hit you with at least I have no intent. I might hit you with one, but I have no intention of it. But when fans reach out to ask, for you to ask those hard hitting questions, number one, do you take fan requests, and how do you prefer to receive those questions to ask the wrestlers?
If somebody has something as far as DCCW is concerned, of course, they can always hit us up on Instagram. I read them. We have our media team. We always try to keep up on what's going on, what the fans are saying, because we actually do care. And if it wasn't for the fans, there'd be no us. Um, I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit, but one of my all-time favorite wrestling quotes was by the Nature Boy. And he said, "I live like a king because the fans have allowed me to." So, that being said, everything that people have to say or ask about, I take personal responsibility, and so does my media team. Me and Brandon, Corey Alexander, we're the lead commentators and hosts of DCCW Glorified, and we always make sure to look and respond and see what the people are saying. Because, like I said, if it wasn't for us, for them, there'd be no us.
Right. Well, you do take a lot of respect and pride into asking
I
the
love it.
questions that the fans want to know. Is there anything that's just been so outlandish or weird that you're like, nah,
Oh,
sorry, sir, or ma'am, this question is not being asked?
one time, one time somebody, actually fairly recently, they asked me if I was Foxman X. I'm not sure if do you know Foxman?
I don't know who Foxman X is.
Wendell.
No.
Okay, look him up. His name is Wendell Foxman X. And everybody was like, "Yo, Raheem, are you him?" Because I don't know why, but everybody thought I was the same guy. And then they were asking me if I was Skylark. Then they were asking me if we're like, I'm like, dude, I'm a commentator, man. I'm 120 pounds, bro. I'm not getting in no ring with nobody. You know what I mean? I'm little. We've had people ask, of course, if they can meet us, backstage somewhere, if they can come through. They want to ask us, where we're going next, so they can follow us and hang out. Back in the day, we used to call those. Oh no, I can't say it.
Uh-oh.
Never mind.
So nothing too crazy then. Nothing too crazy. At least we're gonna keep it off the record. Maybe we'll talk after the podcast. Because I'm not trying. I told you I wasn't gonna hit you with no hard hitting questions, so I'm not gonna put you out there like that.
Yeah, that was back in the day, man. That was back in the day.
Now, when you do commentary and commentating, it's something I've never done. What went into developing the skills for that?
The first time that I did it, I was already doing interviews already with the, behind the stage, or excuse me, backstage, and behind the scenes with some of the wrestlers and some of the talent. So I kind of was able to lead the conversation a little bit at the time. But when you do commentary, and when we do commentary, we do it live, right there in-house. As you see it, we're calling it. So it took me a little bit to get adjusted to that on that front. But you just have to be confident. I'm sorry. You got to be confident in yourself, and you have to know these moves. You got to know what you're talking about. You have to be familiar with the talent, and you just have to bring what we're seeing to the people at home, because at the end of the day, that's what our business is. That's what the job consists of, and you just have to be able to convey what we're seeing, and bring it in color and bring it into life.
Was there anybody that you took influence from, either in your interview style or your commentary?
I like some of the old school guys. Shoot, you remember Todd Pettingill?
Yes, of course.
I like Todd. I like Jim Cornette. I'm a Cornette guy. I know I'm going to get a little bit of heat about that one.
Well, you're either going to get a lot of heat or a lot of praise or both. Like, there's no gray area with Jim Cornette guys, right?
I'm a Cornette guy, man. Right, what do you want from me?
Exactly. You are who you are. Yes.
So I learned from those guys. Like I said, Todd. I like. I know I'm just throwing out the biggest names, but like Tony Schiavone. Like, I grew up watching and listening to them, and I always wanted to be like that. Like I'm me, so I tried to. Jim says one time. Jim says one time, if you steal from a lot of people, it's thievery. Steal from one person, it's research. Something like this. Something like that. No, wait. He said, you steal from one person, is thievery. If you steal from many, it's research.
Yeah, that sounds very Jim Cornette.
So, you know what I mean? I was a young man at the time, and I just took the best advice that the pros have to offer. And they are willing to speak with us and talk to us and teach us and guide us. If we're willing to put in the work and treat the professional wrestling business, top notch and don't, mess around, they are willing to teach us exactly what to do. So we just have to take what they say, mix it with us, and just take it to the next level, man. Like that's what we do, man. I love Byron Saxton. He used to be a professional wrestler before he was a commentator. He's CCW Continental Championship Wrestling was one of the first wrestling companies that I was associated with, and he was happened to be there. So like we know all these guys, and when we go down to Orlando, we're right next door to the Performance Center. They come and train with us. We train with them. So just taking all that information that people are willing to give us and to help us grow, because we are the next generation, man.
When I've recently been going back and cutting like a lot of shorts and reels from like old interviews just to, reignite maybe some interest in some old interviews. And I look back at my old interviews and I'm like, wow, some of these are like, I'm my harshest critic. I'm like, these are bad. Yeah. Like I didn't ask good questions. I didn't give good follow-up questions, but I think I've learned a lot from going back and rewatching my old interviews and trying to get better moving forward here in 2023. If you had to go back and look at some of your old stuff, what would you critique yourself on the most to get better on?
That's actually a good one. I'm glad you asked that, because now you're digging. I like that. That's a good question.
It's not hard hitting though. It's not. It's digging.
That's a good one.
Hard hitting.
No, I'm on this side, man. I'm on this side. No, honestly, to be honest, I like Chris Van Vliet. I like his style. I like Renee Paquette. When she was still doing extreme sports. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that, but before she got into the pro wrestling business, she used to do, extreme sports shows and hosting commentary and stuff like that. So I'm familiar with them before they got into the business. So I like stuff like that. So just being like I said, just being involved. Also, one thing to add, if you train with these guys sometimes, if you can be like in the ring, like if they allow you to, you can know what they're going through. And so you have a direct one-on-one connection with these guys and gals. So all that helps, like just being there and being solid and being 100%. But like I said, I love Chris and I love Renee. And that's kind of how I model myself out right now. We have a guy here in Jacksonville. He works on the news. His name is Scott Johnson, and he hosts a professional wrestling show as well. And, he's one of the best that we have as well. So.
Wait, so there's somebody that's actually on the news that covers professional wrestling? Like the real news covers professional wrestling.
He has his own show on the news. Yeah, his name is Scott Johnson.
Like literally on TV, on the news. Like
he's literally a newscaster that has a professional wrestling segment, and he goes on like 2 or 3 times a day, and he helps us out and he puts us over all the time.
It's blowing my mind right now.
we hosted River City Wrestling Con just a couple months ago. Everybody came through, man. Sergeant Slaughter came through. IRS came through. Scott Johnson was there. Nia Jax came through. Like literally the who's who The real one.
Yeah.
You know who the real one is,
He
and you
was down
can't
here
teach
like 2 months
that.
ago. Yeah, he was
You
just down
can't
here.
teach that. He
Yeah.
came through. Everybody was there with us, man. We had a great time. We had a professional wrestling event for 2 days. It was a convention, and we had all the former wrestlers, the new wrestlers, and the future wrestlers coming out to perform. And we were able to host that. Everybody was there to help support us.
Yeah, I actually
I
missed
love
River
it.
City Wrestling Con this year. I believe it was last year I went. Amazing convention. I've gone twice. I've gone twice. I think out of the 4 years that they've done it, and I was there the year I actually got
Yeah.
interviews with Thunder Rosa and Red Velvet,
See,
and just some amazing talent that there. I really plan on
Bill
going this year.
Alfonso,
Yeah,
Fonzie.
Fonzie. Yeah, I know they're in St. Augustine this year. They're moving a
Yeah.
little bit more down south, which is good for me. About an
Oh
hour
yeah.
down south, but I definitely want to check it out because I know the guy who runs it, Nick, is a great guy that runs the show behind the scene
Yeah.
and just the convention. The stars are getting bigger and bigger every year at River
That's my
City.
guy.
Yeah, he's cool people. He's cool people for sure.
So yeah, we were able to do that, and we're gonna have another one. They've already been selling tickets already and advertising. We did it for 2 days. I think we might try to do all 3 days, man. We might try to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday because there was that many people, and when people want to come, we got to have the space and we got to provide. So if they ask, we'll provide. So I love it.
Yeah, I was at like WrestleCade last year in North Carolina, and just going to these conventions. There's just something. I actually ran into Nick at that convention too when he was up there
Oh yeah, he gets
promoting.
around.
Yeah, he was up there with Stunt Marshall, hanging around. One of my favorite people in the planet doing the wrestling. But yeah, it's just those conventions are just so amazing, and I want to get back to checking it out next year.
Real quick, I would like to say something. It just popped into mind, but for any professional wrestling fans, like real fans and people that are actually in the business, like we have an organization called the Cauliflower Alley Club, which has been around for decades now. It's very, very important. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but please, guys at home, look it up. Cauliflower Alley Club. We help out our fellow boxers, MMA, wrestling, talent ballets. Like it's just a big group for us. We get together in Vegas every year. We help each other out. We have a charity fund. Just everything for sports entertainment, or sports and entertainment. So, like, please, guys, check that out.
Yeah, actually, at River City Wrestling Con a couple years ago, I talked to B. Brian Blair about the Cauliflower Alley
He's the
Club.
guy.
He wanted to talk about that as well too. Have you been out to one of the shows in Vegas?
Well, I'm a part of the club. I'm a member. I think the last time I went to Vegas though was a couple years ago, but like I'm still a member. I got in 2011, and I always contribute and I help out the people that come before me because it's that important. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
Right. Yeah, definitely, guys. If you have a chance, check out the Cauliflower Alley Club. They're doing great things to help the injured wrestlers
Yes.
that we all grew up in that need a little bit of help these days. It gave us so much entertainment. They're just doing great things over there, and all of it's legit. You don't have to worry about, some of these
Yep.
things you don't know where your money's going to or what it's helping. They run a great thing out there, and for sure.
It's very important. Like you said, because they've given so much to us, and anything that we could do to give back to them, just to help. Every little dime counts. Every show counts. Every autograph signing counts. Every picture taken counts. Every Patreon, you know what I mean? Everything counts. Every cash out, it all counts and it all helps. And we appreciate it. They appreciate it. And it just helps us give back to you guys more. You know what I mean? Like everybody at home, like,
Now we did talk a little bit about, your journey beginning in 2009, but that obviously wasn't when you fell in love with professional wrestling. There has to be a moment, a time. There's always
Oh
something
yeah,
that sticks out for us. What is that for Raheem Jonez?
1990. I was born in the 80s, but 1990. I'm gonna date myself. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. But dude, I believe that the 90s, you might believe too, the 90s was the best time for everything.
For everything.
Music,
I just saw Wu-Tang
TV,
this weekend.
movies,
I just saw Wu-Tang in
everything was the
concert this
best in
weekend.
the
So yes, it
90s.
was the best ever.
So like I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. And some of my guys that I used to like, shit, Macho. I love Warrior. Uh, I didn't like him until later, but I like Honky Tonk Man. My mom, my, my
That's an
mom used to,
acquired that's an
yeah,
acquired taste for sure.
my mom and dad used to like Honky Tonk, and I'm like, no, but now I get it. Right? I get it. I
I
get
still
it.
don't get it, but you get it, and that's all that's
Oh
important.
no, he's the greatest intercontinental championship, heavyweight championship of all time, baby.
All time.
He's the greatest. Hey, he was able to smash guitars and still draw money.
And he still draws money at these conventions. I see him at
There
these
we go.
conventions. He's still drawing money, even in 2023. He's
I
still
love it.
drawing money, right?
You got guys like well, when The Rock was young, we liked him. We liked people like shit. I love Billy Kidman at the time. I loved Fred Avery, who was a WCW alumni. He trained Glacier. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Glacier. Remember, I don't want to say his real name, but Glacier from WCW. The guy that trained him, I was able to sit underneath directly. So, like Rock and Roll Chris Turner, like I really was under a strong learning tree, just to be honest.
Can I drop a little something on you? You said Glacier. You said Chris Van Vliet. I'm going to drop two gems on you right now.
What you got?
Chris Van Vliet. I was actually his cameraman for about 4 years in Miami.
Get out.
Before he started the whole wrestling thing.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I was one of his camera. He wasn't doing the wrestling; he was doing entertainment. I was doing his keeping up with Chris segment. And Glacier was the first wrestling interview on the channel at a convention. And when I interviewed Glacier, the first person I texted was Chris Van Vliet and told him that I just interviewed Glacier on the channel. Yes.
So everything just came around just now.
Full circle, dude. Full circle.
There you go. It's a big, small world in our business. It's a big world, but it's also small. Like we are all connected. We all really are brothers and sisters in this shit.
It's crazy. Yeah. And my interview with Glacier, it's not very good as far as like, I was at MegaCon in Orlando. I didn't even know he was going to be there. I had no microphone. I had done interviews and he was just nice enough. I knew John Crowther, who does the comic books for the wrestlers. I had met him before. He does B. Brian Blair's comics and stuff like that. He was at Glacier was at his table. And I would just kind of talk my way. And Glacier's like, yeah, I'll talk to you for a few minutes. I'm like, okay, sure. So the audio's not good. It's in a convention, but it was like kind of like the interview that actually kickstarted my whole little journey.
And the next thing you know, yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Isn't that crazy how it works? It's like, so like everything I told you was 100% legit.
Yeah,
like that's how we do this. Like, and then just staying around and being humble, and being respectful and really taking this shit seriously because like we don't play with other people's lives. Like this is real. Like what we do is for real.
Yeah, I told actually LaBrava when I interviewed her the first match I ever saw.
Oh gosh,
she was wrestling Persia Pierce at a show in Orlando, and she actually got taken out on a stretcher in a like a bad just something went wrong outside the ring. She had to be carried out on a stretcher in the ring. So it's like I could see firsthand from somebody I've personally had on the channel, like a legit injury where she did go to the hospital. And I asked her about that. She was like, yeah, like it was, people were worrying when that maneuver happened outside the ring.
So when we're there and we have to call these things live, like I said, some people at home think that they know what we do, right? But they really don't know. And that's what I love about wrestling. So there's always, professional wrestling is one big gray area. And I really don't want to say it like that, but it really is. It's all a gray area. And so when you're at home or when you're in the crowd, sometimes they think, oh, you know, that's a part of the thing or whatever, this part, but it's really not. And then once they realize, like, no, somebody really got hurt or really got, like, no, we really go out there and fight. Like, these people really do this. They really put their lives on the line. You know what I mean? Like, and they've been doing it and loving it since they've been, you know, children. It fits. And like I said earlier, like, that's how you know that you were born into this. You know what I mean? Like, this business is not for everybody. And not everybody can stick around. So the ones that do are the ones that count.
What would you say is the biggest sacrifice that you've made to continue?
Time. That's one thing that you know, and I know, and the people at home know, that we can't buy that. We can get a second part-time job. We can get money here and there. We can have fun, but time and spending, you know, that with your loved ones and the people that care about you is one thing that you can't get back. So when they know that you're really down with something, you know what I mean? Like, when they know that you're down, they'll be down with you. So when you have to miss another birthday, when you have to miss another, you know, Thanksgiving or another, you know, Hanukkah or another Christmas, as long as they know that you're out there carrying on your purpose and doing what you're doing, they'll be done with us. So that's what I'm gonna say. Just the time and a lot of miles on the body, man. But that is the business. That's what we do.
Ain't that the truth? I couldn't come up with a better answer myself. I'm like, where the heck does the time go? Why? Where's all this time go? I just don't have it. Where does it go? Right?
You can have like, you can have maybe, let's just say 60 matches. You can have 60 matches in a year. And then the next year that comes around, or, you know, 60 events, 60 whatever, you know. But then when you come around next year, you don't even realize it sometimes. And that goes back to another thing that you asked me. One thing I wish I would have done was to document my journey from the beginning. I wish I would have done that a little bit more, but I was always more interested in putting it out for the people. You know, I do the events, I do our programs, but I wish I would have had that autobiography, you know, that we learned about, like the American Dragon, and you know, those guys when they were headed up and down these streets, up and down these wrestling roads, and you know, they were actually documenting, recording their lives. I wish I would have done that. So I would say to anybody new or anybody that hasn't done it yet, I would say start documenting your stuff, because one day there's going to be a point where, you know, somebody's not going to believe you. and then you got to, like, show up. They're like, no, I got 30 years worth, you know, I got the book written, you know. So, like, you're definitely going to want to, like, document your stuff, because, like, people love this, you know, and they really support us. So that would be the tip I got. I wish I would have done that. Yeah. And I tell everybody else to do that now. So.
Great advice. Well, is there anything we should know about Raheem Jonez while we got you here?
I just started. Well, we've been working on it for about 6 months now. We have the movie called DCIM coming out It's not wrestling related. It's on my acting side. Um, Don't Cry, Inez Monroe is what it's called. Hashtag DCIM. And it's produced, directed, and written by Sozo Jackson, who is one of the premier and best, like, overall directors and writers in all of Florida, and all of the Southeast. And somehow I was able to get a chance to work with him. There's a guy named Billy. There's a guy named Johnny Skitz, Jericho Duval. All of us are in it, and we've really been putting down a lot of major work. It's exciting, it's funny, and it's kind of scary because it'll make you think about how social media can or can break your life. So we've all been there. We all know stories, right? About how, going on the Facebook, going on. So we're actually telling the stories about those people.
Has there has there ever been an instance on social media that almost broke you?
Oh, not for me.
Not for you. Not for you.
No.
You good.
Hey, no. You can't dig too deep, dog.
Okay.
No.
I'll let that come out in the biography one day. You can write that in the biography one day.
I could write that in the biography. I never got fucked up yet.
Yes, exactly.
I made it this long. We're still being clean, man.
Oh my God! Thank God. Let's bless ourselves for that, because we've been around some pretty crazy.
It's so
people.
easy in this business.
It is. It can be. Yes. Well, Raheem, you got the movie, you got DCCW, December 6th, I believe you said.
Yes, sir.
Coming up. You got cool stuff going on your Instagram. Tell people what they need to follow if they want to ask some questions for you to relay to the lovely gentlemen and ladies out there in the professional wrestling world of DCCW. Give us all that info.
Raheem Jonez, YouTube. We're on here right now. Holler at me on there. You got my Instagram, Raheem Jonez 2003, or 23, excuse me. Make sure you put the Z on there. I'm the one and the only. We also have our DCCW page and our show called Glorified. It's hosted by myself and my broadcast partner, who is a veteran in this game as well. His name is Brandon Corey Alexander. So please make sure to follow us, look us up, and we'll keep you guys posted. Then we love you.
Well, perfect. Well, guys, make sure you're following Raheem Jonez. Make sure you're checking out DCCW. If you can't make it to Jacksonville, watch it online. That's the great part of 2023. There's no excuses not to miss great professional wrestling around the country, no matter where you live. And guys, if you like interviews like this, Raheem, I'm so glad we made this interview happen. We had some technical difficulties in the other world. In this one, we made it happen, and I'm so glad we did, because it was really great speaking with you, and I can't wait to see still what the future holds for you coming down the line.
I'm going to do one more with you. I can't wait to talk to you again, and maybe next time I'll be the one interviewing you.
Uh-oh, I get nervous. See, we don't know how to handle that, right? When you flip the script on us, it gets a little weird. But
that's why I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, oh gosh, they're asking me stuff.
We're not used to that. We're used to talking all the time. Well, you did a great job.
Thank you, man.
On this interview. It was great. It was really great talking with you. So, guys, make sure you're following Raheem Jonez. And guys, also make sure you hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment. That's right. Go check out DCCW in some direction. I don't know which way it is because everything's backwards here, but hit that red subscribe button so you can stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
The sky's the
subscribe
limit.
to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.